Well, for the markets, it's absolutely quiet. So let's get talking about the commodity space. We have Manisha Gupta joining in to apprise us of what she's tracking in the metal space, as well as a quick word on crude. Manisha.
Thank you for that, Ekta. Well, absolutely. Crude continues to be the top story as we trade around 4-month highs on that one. There is voluntary and involuntary supply cuts, and that has been supportive. Yet another day when we are looking at 0.25 to 0.5% of surge in crude prices, and the markets do believe that with supplies going down and demand estimates getting better, we perhaps are quite quickly headed to that $70 per barrel mark as well in this quarter itself. It is the metal prices which also have done quite well until now in 2019. We are trading at multi-month highs for many of the non-ferrous metals, and we are double-digit up when it comes to gains as well. This is on the back of deficits and the kind of data that the markets are working with right now as well. The Chinese numbers that have come in today do show you the industrial output at the slowest in 17 years. But as far as the numbers pertaining to retail sales and fixed asset income or investment is concerned, that is better than what the street really was working with. Steel is one thing that has been quite volatile. On one side, it is the Vale Port suspension, which has been supportive. But the markets also are looking at the iron ore prices, which is at a one-week highs. And the Jan-Feb crude steel output also seems to have gained by 9%. The steel product output is up 10% as well. So what do those numbers really mean for the prices going forward? For that, we're going across to Hong Mai Lee. She joins us on the phone line from Singapore. Hong Mai, hi. Thank you so much for joining us. First of all, what do you make of the Chinese data? The last couple of sessions, we've seen a huge inflow of Chinese numbers. How are you relating that to the ferrous metal prices?
Okay, I think, first of all, if you're looking at the overall economic performance, fixed asset investment, it did improve from the last 12 months because China released January and February data together. So that actually is a reassuring sign saying that the Chinese government definitely will be focusing on, supporting the economy at a certain level. Whereas if you're looking at the steel output numbers, it's a bit concerning maybe because the first 2 months of this year, the steel output growing at a faster rate. But at the same time, I think I need to remind the market is that just have a think about last year. The winter restriction were having the different measures and everything. So that influenced the base numbers for last year was a bit too low. That's why if you're looking on a year-on-year comparison, it definitely, appearing higher. But I would say that whatever the numbers are telling us, if you're looking at the market sentiment, it should be telling us that the steel market sentiment is rather stable or even showing signs of positive because if you're looking at the steel prices since yesterday, last night actually, the prices go reversing up. So I believe people are pretty happy at what they have seen so far from the Chinese economic numbers as well as the steel output numbers.
Sure. So what's your sense really with the Chinese data? I mean, as you said, it's more positive, more stable impact is what we are seeing in steel. But the whole US and China trade conversation, what is your take from that? And would you actually look at the metal prices, in the light of their inventories, demand and supply? Or would you say that the whole macro picture, the sentiment really seems to be playing a bigger part?
Okay, I would say that, steel is more fundamental driven. So U.S., China, all these kind of trade negotiations and talks, I think they are showing very positive signs, even though nothing has been settled yet. But bear in mind that all these kind of negotiations will be really rather lengthy. It won't be able to solve whatever major issues that is that are obstacles between the two countries within weeks or something. So more negotiations will be coming along. So I think the most important thing is it's not getting worse. That's the most sign. So the other thing is they're looking at steel. Steel definitely will be performing better than the non-ferrous metals because metals, for example, aluminum. The aluminum, the metal itself actually facing oversupply. So, when you're talking about non-ferrous metals, you have to be looking at particular products, and then we can, go into details.
So, Hong Mai, when you say that the steel prices will perform better than many other metals, what kind of performance that are we looking for here? Percentage-wise, is there any number that you're working with? And how much gain in steel can we see from here?
Okay, in the near term, actually, if you're looking at China domestic numbers, billet prices actually have been hovering at about 3,500, which is rather sustainable level because taking into consideration of the production cost, as you mentioned, the iron ore, whereas the rebar actually have been hovering above 4,000 RMB, which is rather a very positive level as well for the time being. Yeah.
Okay, all right, Manisha as well as Hongmi Lee, thanks very much for joining in and speaking with us. Well, there are some visuals coming out of outside the court of the Singh brothers, Malvinder Singh as well as Shivinder Singh. I'm not sure which brother that is, but we'll get Ashmit to give us an update with regards to what took place in the court as well. I understand that there is another hearing which is going to take place on the 28th of March to explain how to secure that Daiichi arbitral amount of around 3,500 odd crores. So that's what the Supreme Court has asked for. So the next hearing would be on the 28th of March. So that is some visuals that we're getting right outside the Supreme Court at this point in time. We'll get Ashmit in to just discuss a couple of more details. I can see that he's probably just working some phones and maybe talking to a couple of people to add more perspective on that. So we'll leave you with those visuals and we'll slip into a break and we'll come back with more.